Everybody, it is Tuesday, April the 19th. We're going to talk about a little bit of Ethereum today. So Ethereum is second oldest to Bitcoin as far as a major blockchain. The first really that was heavy into smart contracts, diving into DeFi, NFTs. And I can always tell when somebody doesn't know what they're talking about when they say that they're actually going to build on Ethereum. Why do I say that? Because building on Ethereum is like starting your company in downtown Manhattan and spending $150,000 a month on rent as a startup. Yes, Manhattan has nice public transportation. Safety, my ass. You're likely to get shot down there now. But the costs are exorbitant. And Ethereum at one point kind of had the monopoly on this stuff. Now there's a lot of other people that are doing it better. So, what are the gas fees? A lot of people wonder what gas fees are. So, the way gas works is depending on how much volume is going through a network, you can actually pay a certain fee. Almost like your Uber. When you order an Uber when it's super packed coming out of a concert, the algorithm will jack up the cost of an Uber. That's really what gas is in the world of crypto. But the way Ethereum structured it is in order to have the people that are actually paid per block to actually facilitate and secure the transaction, they get paid. They get paid more when the network is more congested. So Ethereum tends to be really effing expensive. So, for example, the average cost of something is about 21,000 GUI. Now, what's a GUI? A GUI is it's basically a unit of measurement specific to Ethereum. So what they do is they actually have their gas is converted into this thing called GUI, probably so you can't really track what it actually is. It's sort of a great way for Ethereum to sort of sneak in what they're actually charging because you don't actually know. But typically, the standard GUI for an Ethereum transfer is about 21,000 units of gas. So if you were to send, let's say, 50,000 units of GUI as your cost, let's say you're buying something for $50, and which is roughly what it would be. It would roughly cost you about $21 to send that. So almost half of what you'd be sending in a transaction through Ethereum. So how does that help? I mean, if you're spending an average of $25 every time you buy something, transfer that piece for purchase of good or service, which is really what, when you think about the future of the blockchain, you're looking at, buying and selling everything that you can imagine. Right now you're buying and selling, glorified JPEGs called NFTs that will have amazing technology later, but right now they're pretty much glorified JPEGs. Okay. So at some point you'll be buying cars, houses, you'll be buying clothes, you'll be transmitting all sorts of stuff all across. And through Ethereum, if your average cost is $25, imagine if you had an extra $25 tacked on every time you used your credit card. It wouldn't be sustainable. Now, there are some low cost alternatives that are building on top of Ethereum. So, some of the lowest cost places in the world are trying to build on and set up a layer two in order to bypass most of the traffic and come back on at a later point. So that creates some problems because you're off chain, for a period of time, and it causes security problems. So fast forwarding to right now, March 29th, 2022, second biggest crypto hack ever, 600 million in Ether stolen from NFT gaming blockchain. So a great idea said, okay, let's build our gaming platform on NFTs, which is, by the way, great usage of NFTs. The Ronin network had 600 million stolen from them in a hack, and that is a massive amount of money. So they had 173,600 Ethereum tokens and 25.5 million US dollar coins worth nearly 620 million on Tuesday were drained after an attacker used hacked private keys to forge two fake withdrawals last week. It was discovered after a user reported being unable to withdraw 5,000 Ether tokens worth 17 million. Their People point out the heist was the best, was the second ever, second largest ever. Um, and then these types of things happen. How does this happen? And I don't. Again, they usually don't give you all of the information on there. Even Mount Gox was 460 million. That was 7 years ago. Obviously, it's worth more now. It's like 14 billion now with everything that's happened in Bitcoin. But they don't tell you exactly how the hacker did it. We'll learn that through some white hat forums and some other places that will cover this in more detail. However, what we do know is that when you move from layer one security to layer two, you're going to have some points of failure. There are some holes, and these hackers are starting to exploit these holes because there's different keys. So when you move from one blockchain to another, there's an issue of keys to actually track that transaction. If you're a hacker and you can jump in and figure out what that key will be that will validate that transaction, and keep in mind it's a public blockchain, so even if you've encrypted it to a degree, maybe you haven't encrypted it, maybe the encryption's not great, maybe it's sequential, who knows, maybe the password was password, you never know. But if they can get a hold of that key, then they can take over the transaction if a good hacker knows what they're doing and reroute the destination to where they want it to go. These are the types of problems that you come across when you're switching blockchains, when you're moving around. You've got to work through your security protocols. So what does this mean in general? So a lot of money, a ton of money, is moving into DeFi right now. 1/3 of all VC money for the first quarter this year was all towards DeFi, which is distributed, decentralized finance. It's basically setting up rules-based and smart contract-based financial systems on the blockchain. I've dealt with VCs for years. I was very surprised when I got into the world of VCs and started presenting to people that own VCs or angel investors as to how technologically ignorant they are. They didn't ask good technical questions. They didn't ask any technical questions. They didn't care what your stack was. They didn't get into how you're dealing with your security protocols. They didn't get into scalability. They didn't get into session testing. They got into nothing that matters. They just assumed, hey, if your numbers are there, you must know what you're doing. That shocked me because the essence of a technology company is technology. You have to know what the technology is, how it works, how it's going to scale. And VCs don't look under the engine, they don't look into the hood, they don't validate anything. So a lot of this money that's going in on the VC side right now is there. I guarantee it's going into projects that are being built on Ethereum, and these poor bastards don't have a clue that they're pumping money in on a structure that's being built on quicksand. It's unsustainable. It's the fees are too high. You can't have a decentralized finance application in the blockchain that's going to have incredibly high fees. Nobody's going to use that in a long term. You're not going to see banks and institutions come along and do that. And if you actually have a extremely low transaction cost point on a blockchain that's built as a layer two, you have incredible security risks, and no financial institutions and or people that are presenting themselves as a community financial institution, which is what DeFi is. It allows you, me, our neighbors, our friends to become the banks and cut out the middlemen for the point of a transaction. Why would I want to be able to put my money into a DeFi system if I know that the security parameters aren't there to protect the coins that I'm staking to back that particular DeFi structure up? So anybody who's building on Ethereum right now is really making a bad mistake. And a lot of these VCs right out there right now, they don't know. To them, they think that Ethereum's high tech compared to Bitcoin. In the meantime, they just don't know what they're talking about at all. So that's one of the reasons we went with Solana. One of the reasons we're happy about that. It's not perfect, but it's a hell of a lot better than having to switch protocols constantly and have to sacrifice security. Which again, Solana doesn't have as many nodes, but when you go proof of stake versus proof of work, and you for Ethereum, they're going to have some node issues and some more security issues as well. But really, Solana's cost per transaction is 0.000001 Solana per transaction. It's a fraction of a cent, usually a penny usually not. Their costs are extremely low. So they're predicated on more transactions in a smaller amount of money, whereas Ethereum's predicated on taking a larger chunk of your transaction. And they're currently doing a ton of transactions, but you're going to see a migration from Ethereum to other blockchains with lower costs as time goes on, because it's a natural progression of people that want to spend less on fees to buy and do things with goods and services. So for all those people that have invested in DeFi through Ethereum, you may have a chance to have that particular project switch over blockchains at some point. They're going to have to, but it really seems unnecessary and a lot of time, energy, effort, new programming, as opposed to if they just made the decision properly in the first place, they might have been able to avoid that. Now, they may have another plan for some of these things. Some people might be using Thorchain or using other things to build through multiple gateways through multiple blockchains, and that's completely reasonable. I'm not saying anybody who's touching Ethereum is making a mistake. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if it's their primary, if it's their one and only, that's a pretty big single point of failure for a choice for a lot of reasons, for security, for cost, for even speed. It's slow. It's not very scalable. And soon as they make the switch over to proof of work, or to proof of stake from proof of work, you're also going to have even more security issues as the number of nodes protecting that blockchain diminishes by 90%. So that's my take. It doesn't mean it's right. You're welcome to jump into the comment section and tell me where you disagree. But in the meantime, hope everybody has a great day. We'll keep the discussion going. Thank you.